In this tutorial, we are going to create a user list like this to fetch the data from the remote API with the use of the Next.js. And first we go to the terminal and then we create a project name and we make a directory called user list and we enter the user list and then we type npx create next app and press dot. And then we press code dot to enter the VS Code. And then we go inside the terminal and type yarn dev. Now we can go to the localhost 3000 and you can see this web page. And actually we can delete all the main inside the index.js. So we all of this. And we save it. Now we just has the app this word. And now we are going to create the navbar that you just seen in our web page. So now we are going to create the components. So we go to the page and then we add a new folder called comps. And then under this we create a navbar.js and then we type rafce. And then we go to the styles folders and then we create another style sheet called navbar.module.css. Actually you can type navbar.css, but we just follow this convention. And what we are going to do is to create this top navbar. So when you go to the user page or the home page, you can still see this navbar. And we paste these CSS inside the file. And what we are going to do is mainly delete the text declarations so there is no underline style or inside the link. And when you go to the over the button, you can see there is change of colors. The background color is white and the color is black. And when the navbar, the button is active, you can see the color is green and the color of the text is white. So now we back to the navbar. We have to import the styles from styles and then we type navbar.module.css. And then at this moment we just add two buttons, and one is the home button and the other is the users button. So we type a and then we just type home and we duplicate this and we type users and this links to users and this just go to the home page and the class name is equal to active. And now we create a layout.js and we type rafce. So this is the component without importing the React, but now we have to import the navbar. And then under this we have to pass the children. And then the first thing is we have to use the navbar. So all of these will have the top navbar. And then we pass the children here. And then we go back to the app.js and we have to use the layout to wrap the whole component. So we cut this and paste to here. And we also have to import from the components. So we save it and you can see nothing was returned from render. And this is because we should use a bracket and then we wrap all of these and then we save it. Now you can see no matter you go to the home or go to the user, you can still see the navbar. And you can see we have the 404 page because we haven't created a user page yet. And we also haven't linked to the styles. So we have to back to the navbar. And then at here we type, we should go to the navbar and we type the class name is equal to the styles dot top nav because we have a style which is top nav. So we should see the style at our home page, and we will also fix this by adding a page, and we should go to the pages folder and create a folder called users. In order to make these routes have a page, we should create a index.js, and under this we, just like before, we create a simple page, and then we go to here and just type users, and we can also change these names. Now if we go to refresh the page, now we can see the users, and if we go to the home, we can see in this part we are going to fetch the user data from a already used API, and we will going to introduce the Next.js getStaticProps functions to pre-render the page at build time. So what we are going to use is this website. We have a list of users that we can use, and if you copy this link, for example, if you click on this, and you will get all these data, and we will just use the users. So we delete the page is equal to 2, and we will get the first page users. And instead of using the combination of use effect and fetch functions to get the data, we use the Next.js getStaticProps to pre-render the page at build times using props returned by getStaticProps. So now we back to our project, and then we go to the users and index.js, and on top of this we are going to create a functions export constant getStaticProps is equal to async, and then we use the fetch functions to get the response, and then we copy this path and paste to here, and then we type constant data is equal to await response.json, and we use this instead of just use data is because if you look at the JSON at here, the array is inside the properties of data, so we have to destructure this from the response.json in order to get the array of users. So after we already get the array of users, we have to return the props, and we name it as users data. So now it is accessible inside this component, and we are now going to pump this data to the component. So at here we type users, and then at here we use users.map user, and then since we just need to render a div, so we use a bracket, and then we just want to display the mail, so we use user.email because we want to display this. So at this part we just want to show it can fetch the data, and like we have to use the key is equal to user.id, and which come from here. Now we go back to our website and go to the users. Now you can see the list of users already displayed inside. In this part we're focusing on adding the active style to the navbar, so when the user is inside the user page, this button should turn green, and if the user is inside the home page, the home button should also turn green. So we first go to our navbar.js, and so first of all we have to import the useRouter from the nextRouter, and then under this navbar we are going to create a constant router is equal to useRouter, and then we try to console log the router to see what inside these informations. So now we go to the developer console, and now if we go to the home page, we can see we have the path name. We can see we have the path name of /, and if we go to the users, we can see we have the path name of users. So we can make use of this path name to determine whether we should add the active class or not. So we back to our project and go back to these two links, and instead of using this active, we are going to use to see whether the router.path name is equal to /. If this is equal to /, then we use the styles.active, And this is because we have this active class inside this CSS style. So we back to the navbar.js and we continue. If this is not equal to /, then we just return a empty string. So now if we go to click on the home page, and now you can see the home button become green. So we do a very similar things inside the user link. So we add the class name at here, but this time we use the /users. So we are going to see whether the path name is equal to /user. If yes, it will change to active class. Otherwise, it will do nothing. So now we can go to here and see whether it turned green if we go to the user page. And yes, it's also turned green. So this is how to add the active class to our website. In this part, we are going to create the card components. So instead of just showing the email, we are going to showing different cards with pictures and also the username and also the email. So now we go back to our project, and under these components folders, we are going to add usercard.js. So we right click and click new file and type usercard.js. And in order to create a card component, we take this as a reference. So we copy this style and back to the project, and under the styles folders, we create a file called card.module.css. And we change this to 200 pixels. And we also want to make a background colors with white smoke. And then we go back to the usercard.js and we type rafce. And then we have to import the styles from the styles folders, and we use the card.module.css. And then again we back to here and we want to copy this, and then we paste to here, and we have to change this to JSX, and then we back to the index of users. So now we are not using the div, we are going to using the user card components. So we type user card, and we have the user is equal to users. So we can back to the card.js, and now if you look at the page, you can see there are cards here, but there are some broken image because we haven't imported the image at here. So now we are going to destructure the user, and we have the user.avatar, and we should also change this to styles.card. So now you can see the card and also the image, and you can see there is white smoke colors in the card. And now we are going to add the first name and also the last name. So we change this to user.firstname and user.lastname, and here we change this to user.email. Now we can see it already displayed the email and also the first name and last name. And we also has to change this to styles.containers in order to use the styles of these containers. So now if you back to here, we can see it has some paddings at the card. Now we are going to delete the users this word inside the users pages. So now we can see all the cards in this page. This part we are going to demonstrate the difference between the link, the Next.js link and the A tag, and although both of them can link to a different page. For example, if we back to the navbar.js, we can see we have the A tag which link to the home page and the user page, and you can see this also work well if you go to the home page and also the user page. So why we may need to use the Next.js link? This is because it provides the ability to do the client-side navigations, so which means we do not need to send a HTTP request in order to get another page. So if you look at this, we can see if you click on another page, it will spend some time on loading. So let's see what happens if we change to using a link tag. So first we have to import the link from the next link. So import link from next link, and then we use the link tag to wrap the A tag, and then we cut this and paste to here, and we do the same for the users, or maybe we can see the difference. Now if you go to the user, you can see it spends some time to go to another page, but if we go to home, you can see it go to the home instantly. So this is the difference between the link and the A tag. So we do the same for the link, and we cut this and put this to the link tag, and we remove this extra link. Now we can try again, and you can see it go to another page without making any requests. So this is very high performance. So now we are going to add this link, add another link to the user card. So first we create the A tag, and we add the class name is equal to the styles.button, and inside this we type details, and then we put the link tag to wrap this, and then we link this to the user, and then we pass the user.id, and now we go to the users page, and we have an import the link tag. So we go to the user card and paste here, and we also need to go to the style and go to the card and add the button styles. So now if you go to here, you can see the details buttons, and then if you click on the details, you can see we go to the user/1, and this is the default error page. If you go to the others and click details, you can see it go to the path to the ID, which is equal to 2, and later we will go to create our own 404 page, and this is the default error page of Next.js, and we will also talk about the dynamic route. The previous part we already see this error page that is from the Next.js, and now we are going to create our own error page. So we go back to our project, and under the pages we create 404.js, and we type our AFCE, and we change this to errors, and if we type custom error, and now if we go back to this link again, you can see the custom error. So these already go to the custom error page. So now we are going to create our own page. So first we go to our styles and go to the global CSS and add to style. The first thing is we go to add a containers, add a container class, and the next thing is we go to the card modules, and we want to cut this and paste to the global.css because we will use this in both the error page, the home page, and also the card page. So we back to the card, the user card components, and then instead of using the style.button, we use button because this already becomes global style. So now if you go back to the users, you can still see it displayed correctly with the red buttons. And now we go to user 1, you can see this custom error. So we back to the error the 404.js, and since this is not a very complicated page, so we just want to add the inline style instead of using some custom CSS file. So we type class name is equal to container, and then we add a div, and then we add h1, and then we type oops. Now you can see it already at the center, and now we have to add another paragraph and type for page not found, and then we add button. So we type a tag with the class name is equal to button, and then we type back to home, and then we import the link from the next link, and then we use the link to wrap the a tag, and then we type the href to the /. So now you can see this custom error page, and if we click back to home, it will go back to the home page. This part we are going to talk about our file structure and also talk about the three main routings. One is index routes, nested routes, and also the third one is dynamic route segments. So in the project, we already has the folders users, and you can also see the index.js. So if you type localhost 3000 and then /users, you can go to the users page, and you can see we do not need to type index. So for example, if we just create another folders, so under the pages, we create a folders called books, and then under this we create another file called index.js again, and inside this we create books, and then we type books, and then we /. Now you can see the books appeared. So this is how to use the index routes, and again we do not need to type /index. And there is also nested routes. For example, inside this, under the folder books, we create another folders inside the books called authors, and then under this folder we create another file called allensmith.js, and inside this we type rfc, and then we change this to Allen, and then we type Allen. Now if we type /authors, we have s here. So we type S and then type Alan Smith. We can go to the page, and you can see Alan's is appeared here. And this is how to use the nested routes. So now we delete this books folder because we do not need this. We just want to demonstrate the nested routes and index routes. So we're back to the users, and we are going to talk about the final one is the dynamic route segments. So in our example, we have a lot of users, and we want to click on the details and go to the detail page. So we have to use the square bracket syntax to match the dynamic segment. For example, we have different IDs for different users. So we type id.js, and we type RAFCE, and then we click detail, and we type details. So if we click on details, you can see we get details at here, because if you look back at the index, we have set the path at the user card. So we have to go to the components and go to user card. You can see we have type users and then user.id. So if we go to here and then import useRouter from router, and then if we type constant router is equal to useRouter, and then constant ID is equal to router.query, and then we paste the ID here. Now after we go to the user and click details, we got detail 1, and if we click on the second one, we got detail 2 because we passed the ID to our page. As you can see, we have many users at this page, and we are going to get the details by clicking this button. And to tell the Next.js which path need to get rendered at build time, we need to use the Next.js getStaticPaths functions, and this will statically pre-render all the paths specified by these functions. So we go to our ids.js and which display the user details. First, we can delete this useRouter because we do not need this anymore, and we also delete this. Instead, we use export constant getStaticPaths is equal to async, and then we are going to fetch all the users so we know which path we need to pre-build. So constant res equal to await fetch, and then we use the exact path at here. So we copy from the index.js and paste to here, and then we get the data is equal to await res.json, and then we want to at last return, and at last we want to return the path that we need to pre-build, and also we have to make the fallback as false at this moment because we do not want to have any fallback page at this stage. And then we are going to create the path, and the path has the array of objects that contain the params, and we have the ID such as 1 and then ID 2. So we are going to build this path by using these data. So we create constant path is equal to data.map user, and then we return the params ID and then user.id.toString, and then we will have the path, and then we pass this path to here, and we can shorten this by just using path because they are the same. Now after we already get the path, we can then generate the HTML page based on the ID. So you can get the ID 1, ID 2, and so on. So we continue. And first we delete this ID because now we do not have this ID. And after we use the getStaticPath, we have to use the getStaticProps to return the props that can pump into this component. So right after this, we type export constant and getStaticProps equal to async context, and the context is the object containing the params, and we can get the ID by using constant ID is equal to context.params.id, and then constant response is equal to await fetch, and then we go to copy this path and then add the ID, and then we get the data. Actually this is similar to this, so we copy this and then paste to here. But now instead of using the users, we use user because we just has one user on each page. So now after we already get the user, we can pass this data to the detail components, and then we use the, and then we pass the detail card, and we will add this style later, and we also add the class name equal to container, and then under this we type h1 details, and then we have h3, and then we pass the user.firstname and also user.lastname, and at last we also pass the email, and we forget to add the / at here. So we save it, And if we click on the details again, we can see the details, the name, last name, and first name, and also the email. So if we back and go to another one, we can also get another details. In this part, we are going to talk about the Next.js image component. The benefit of using the image component is the automatically image optimizations allows resizing, optimizing, and serving the image in modern formats like WebP, and also the Next.js optimize the image on demand, so no matter you are shipping one image or 10,000 images, the build time will not be increased. So in order to use the Next.js image in the user card, we have to go to the components, and what we are going to do is, before we use a simple image element that is HTML element, and now we are going to use the image component. So we have to import the image from the next image. Now we replace this with image, and now we save it, and you can see there is a server error. The hostname rest.in is not configured under the image in your next.config.js. So to enable the image optimization for the image host on external website, we have to go to the project and go to add a new file called next.config.js, which already exists at here. So we can go to this one, and then we add image, and then we have the domain, and then we make a square bracket, and we copy this name because the image is from the request.in. So we type the domain, and this is request response.in. Now if we save and refresh, and we forgot to add the s here, and since we already changed the config, so we have to stop the server, and then we run the yarn dev again. Now if we go to the users, now we can see another error, which is not about the next config, which is about we must use width and height. So now we have to go back to the user card, and instead of using this, we have to set the width and height. So we set the width is equal to 200 and height is also equal to 200. Now we save it and see what happened. Now we can see the image can be appeared again, but now you can see the card actually not very good because it's stacked to each other. So maybe we have to add another style sheet to control the style. So under the styles, we go to find the styles folder, and then we add a new file called users.module.css, and inside this we paste the style sheet at here. What we are mainly to do is to make the gap between each card, and also we can also delete this button. Maybe we can delete this button style because we already create one inside our global.css. First we go to the index.js under the users folder, and then we import the styles from styles, and then user.module.css, and then at here we type class name is equal to users styles dot user. So let's see what the name is, and this is the user list. So we back to the index of users, and which is user list. So we save it, and now we can see the card displayed much better. The last thing is the card is too close to the top and the edges, so we want to make this center of the page. So we can use the container styles that we already created before. So now we go to here and type div and then we use the card name as container, and then we place all of these inside this div. So now you can see all the cards are at the centers. And now if you go to developer tools and then you have a smaller screen size, it will wrap to another line. And also you can see there is a warning that at the user card the server size and the client side not match. This is because we forget to add the / at the client side. So we back to our user card component, and then you can see at this href we forgot to add the /. So we place here and click save. And now if you refresh the page, and you can see the warning has gone, and you can also go to the detail page as user. At this moment you can see there is the text app in here, and we will use a button to replace this, and we will also add a background image. So first we go back to our project and we go to the index, and at here we type a, and then we use the class name which is equal to button, and then we type enter user list, and then at here we also need to use the link, and then we go to access the user list page. So we type href and then we type users, and so we have to import the link from next link. So if we go to here, you can see we have the button enter user list, and then we can click and go to the user list page, and we can go back to the home, and then we are going to adjust the style at the global.css, and here we want the styles to have the transition, and then we have the hover style, so we type button hover, and then we want to set the background color to be red, and at here we set the background color to be a dark black. So now you can see if we over the button, you can see it transitions to red colors, and we can also add some paddings. And then we go to the users, you can see it also changed to the same style. And we also want to adjust the style of the card and maybe the padding button to be 5 pixels or 10. Now you can see this is much better. And now we want to add the background image, so we have to go to the global.css and we go to the body, and then we paste the image inside the public folders. So now we have this users.jpg, and now we back to the global.css and we type URL. We should type background image and then URL, and then we type public. No, this is not public, this is users.jpg. And now you can see the background image, and we also have to change the background size property so we can show all the image. So we have to add background size and cover. Now we can see it show the whole image even in the home page. So now we just need to go to adjust the style of the detail page because we haven't get the image yet. So we go to the detail, which is the id.js, and we go to the detail and we import the image component. So let's see the user card and copy this and go back to the id.js, and on the top we go to import the image component, and then at here we use the image, and source is equal to user.avatar, and then width is equal to 500, and then the length, the height is equal to 500. Now we can see the image already load at here. We can, but the card or the detail card cannot be easily seen because we haven't added the style yet. So we need to go back to the global.css and add the detail card style. Now we can see the card and also the image.